Okay, we are a go. Welcome everyone to the February 7th, Ninth Ward meeting. Thank you all for coming. We're going to start our program off with a presentation about the new 311 system that the city's implemented, and we'll have Sue Pontarelli start us off.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for inviting me. My name is Sue Pontarelli. I'm the 311 and Police Service Desk Manager. I've been with the city longer than the city's been around, but and then Nate's shaking his head, yes. I also have with me my colleague, Sandra. If you'd like
Hi,
to introduce.
everyone. My name is Sandra. I've been with the city with 311 for 12 years.
Sandra is one of our trainers, as well as one as our most senior 311 person. So we're very excited. So we're invited today to talk about our new CRM, our customer relation management system for 311. I could talk about it forever. I promise I will not. But I do have some fun things. I'd like to start with a very short video that kind of sums up the 311, if that's okay. You can listen to me sound like I was holding my nose because I had a cold, but if you don't mind, I'll show it. It's a nice video with about our just about the whole center. Can everybody?
311, your one-stop shop for all city services.
Hi, I'm Steve Haggerty, your mayor, and it's a pleasure to.
Okay, that is not the right one, but can everyone see my screen?
Hello, Evanston.
Yes.
This is Daniel Biss, and I am thrilled to share an exciting update about a vital community resource that has been a part of our city since 2011, the Evanston 311 Center. This is a hub that allows us to get information out to people who communicate with us via text, online, through the mobile app, or via phone. And now, thanks to a recent platform update, it's going to be more effective than ever.
Thanks, Mayor Biss. Hey, everyone. I'm Sue Pontarelli, 311 and Police Service Desk Manager. The city has recently transitioned to a new platform host for Evanston 311, a citizen support center and mobile app. It's now powered by Q-Alert, a request management enterprise with Catalyst. This new platform is more user-friendly and will make reporting issues, tracking their progress, and finding the information you need easier than ever. Some of its enhanced features include an updated mobile app available on both the App Store and Google Play. If you've already have the app, a simple update will give you access to the new platform. The ability to upload up to 5 photos and videos seamlessly. A more robust reporting system allowing city staff to track information better. And here's the big one, anonymous reporting.
Hi, I'm Yvette Hobson, 311 Service Desk Supervisor. Sue's right, the new platform has tons of enhanced features, but what hasn't changed is the high quality service we provide you. From snowstorms to street cleaning and potholes to trash special pickups, we're here year round, both in English and in Spanish.
So there you have it. The more efficient, user-friendly 311 is at your fingertips. I encourage everyone to please continue using 311. It's the most effective way to communicate your questions or concerns, and the most effective way to hold our organization accountable. You can contact 311 by calling 311 if you're in the city of Evanston, or if you're outside, it's 847-448-4311. You can also go to cityofevanston.org/311.
So we're very excited about our new video and our new platform. So and then Sandra will, the rest of the information she'll be doing in Spanish, but I'll go ahead and do a little overview. Please, if you have questions or something that you've experienced or anything with 311, please, we'd love to hear about it or answer your questions as well. The one thing is that for 2023, Ward 9 had 2,373 service requests that came in through our 311 system in 2023. So far for 2024, we've had 271 service requests in Ward 9. What's exciting about that is it's not necessarily a problem or an issue. It might be a question. It might, need extra services on something. So we did kind of run the data to see if there was something very specific. We saw that there was a lot of building inspection permits, which is exciting, which tells me there's a lot of, fun things going on in the ward. So that was one thing we did notice. And then Sandra, if you want to.
Okay, so lo que estaba explicando Sue es que con la nueva sistema, en el nuevo sistema, en este año, en el año 2024, hubieron 271 solicitudes de servicio. En el sistema anterior, que en el año 2023, tuvimos 2,373 solicitudes de servicio. Las solicitudes de servicio no nomás son problemas o quejas, cosas así de la ciudad, pero también son preguntas para la ciudad. Go ahead, Sue.
Thank you. It sounds so much nicer when Sandra says it than when I say it. So I love it. Thank you so much. So 311 we've been around for 12 years in March, and this brand new software, which is so exciting. We have a brand new app, which we talked a little bit about in the video, and it's either for Androids or for iPhones. Excuse me. We will share the QR code, Sandra, in the chat if you would like to have that available. It is an amazing app, and I'm going to share really quick. This is our Does anyone else have dogs? This is our 311 page, and you can see you can do almost anything on it, but I wanted to highlight our new system. The apps are available in the App Store, and the app is available in the App Store or the Android in Google Play, and it's a really nice featured app. The buttons here highlight so different things. We can change those at any time. So right now, seasonal would be for snow. I'm sorry I said that 4-letter word, but it would be for snow. And some people may not want to use the app, or you're on the app and you can give us a call right from there. Without having to do anything else. It has a great GIS. It will pick up your location, or you can pin it. Pardon me. Sorry, can everybody hear me with all of the dogs in the background? My apologies. Anyway, so the apps are I am so sorry. I wanted to show the Android app as well for those that have Android, but that is available for both. It has a GIS, and we have about 250 service request types that you can select. So if you wanted, a special pickup that you have extra things to put out, you can go right on the app. It will pick up your location, your address, or if you're somewhere else and you want to put in the Evanston address, you can do that as well, just manually, and it will show. And I'd like to share some of the things that you can report. Actually, Sandra,
So yeah, I was going to tell you, let me explain the app real quick before you move away from there in Spanish.
I'll go ahead and present it for you.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So, el nuevo sistema de 311 también tiene una aplicación que puedes bajar con tu teléfono. tú puedes someter tus solicitudes de servicio. Si no quieres llamar al 311, puedes llamar por teléfono y nosotros lo hacemos por ti. Pero si tú quieres someter tus propios solicitudes de servicio, puedes instalar o descargar la aplicación que está en el sistema. Puedes meterte por la web de la ciudad. O puedes buscarla en tu Google Play o en si tienes un iPhone en el sistema iPhone, que es Apple Store. Go ahead, Sue.
Okay. All right. All right. So anyway, I wanted to highlight that. And again, I'm sorry about the dog. So with the background noise, my apology. Anyway, questions so far about our app or our system?
I'll just add a little bit from what I've seen so far with the new system. Every week, Sioux staff sends me a Ninth Ward report of all the 311 tickets, and now that since we started using the new software, those reports are much easier to read. There's a better interface or graphic layout. So it definitely is a time saver for myself. I would second the plug for using the app. I often use it when I'm out and about, especially if I'm not at home. It's really easy to take a picture of something that needs to be addressed and have it, tag the address. It saves me a lot of time. So highly recommended all the phone users to download that.
Okay. And if I can tag on to that, is that one of the really nice features, if you've used our old app, it was a struggle. It was a struggle, especially with Android and Apple. We kind of skated by. With the new app, we can add photos and videos. So if you see something, or there's a pothole, or there's something you want to report, you can take a photo or a video of that and easily upload it. It's also nice to correspond with the city if they need to send you a form to sign, or you need to send something in, as opposed to having to go scan something and worry about how do I get a release form in, or some sort of form that might have needed your signature or a video of what you're reporting. So that's really exciting. The couple other things, you can make reports anonymously. In our old system, you could not. So the best place to do that is on the web as opposed to the app, because it's just it flows better. The one thing though, when you report anonymously, is you will not get updates. So when you report something and you provide us your email, you get updates as the issue goes on. So let's say that there is an abandoned auto on your street. You've called it in, or you've reported it on the app, and then the officers go out and check on it. They'll give you an update as they go. So that is very exciting. The other really important feature for us with the new 311 system is we wanted customers, both internally and externally, to be able to email us back. How frustrating is it for you when you get an email and what does it say? No reply. Right? To me, that is not good customer service. So that was a must in the system, and it goes right to 311 in a message center. And so if you've reported a pothole and you've got a message that says we've filled that pothole, and you're looking outside and like they must have filled the wrong pothole because it's still there, you will send a message back and it will go right into 311 and can be addressed right then. So that is like a very big feature to us. I was going to show you one last thing about 311. There are, as I mentioned, after my dogs went crazy, there's about 250 service request types it seems to be a little overwhelming in some ways. We tried to trim down, but what we really strive for is first contact resolution. So we want you to be able to say, no, I need my trash picked up, it was missed, and be able to find that easily, as opposed to having to go any layers on that. So whether you call, you chat, you text, you use the app, we really strive for first contact resolution. Sandra, I probably should let you hop in here. You're muted.
Thank you, Sue. El nuevo sistema tiene como 250 50 solicitudes de servicio, y se oyen como muchas, pero es suficiente para que todos los departamentos tengan ciertas cosas que puedan uno buscar y poder someter su solicitud. También estaba explicando los diferentes modos de poder comunicarse con nosotros, que es el chat, que es el texto, llamar con nosotros. Ustedes pueden someter sus solicitudes anónimamente también sobre la web. Go ahead,
Thank
Sue.
you. Thank you. I'm going to just share this one last screen part. Oh, okay. So Jeff, when did this new system take effect? So we did, thank you for asking that. So we did a very soft launch for the holiday baskets. If you're familiar with the holiday baskets where customers can call and request a basket with food and toys if they have children. And so we took in almost 500 service requests for the holiday baskets, and that was our way to kind of get our first layer out. We did a soft launch. The next layer of the soft launch was December 12th. And so the data and what's really exciting for us is the last 11 years is brought into the new system. So we're very excited about that, that we are not losing any data or information that we think is really important. And like I said, I'm just going to share this one part and kind of just show you our page, and then I will pass it back. Can everyone see my screen with 311's page? Okay. If you go to we have our own, a 311 page, and I just wanted to share, it gives us any way to contact us. We're really excited about it. And we also have a knowledge base. So we're really excited about that. Some customers prefer, not to have to use, call or refer to do their own research, what have you. But I wanted to just kind of give you an idea about this request for service is what you would do. This looks just like the app. You put your address. The police department is what I use all the time, so kind of gives us that, and it will put in the address, and then you can type in the issue. So if you can spell, which I apparently, it will give you options. And like I said, there are definitely a lot, but we want to provide information on it. Comments are required. You can add the photos, like I mentioned, and you can or cannot put in your information. That is completely up to you. And lastly about it, that request on our back end goes directly to the staff member and department that it is meant to, so that it's not floating around, and we can get it resolved as quickly as possible and keep you updated along the way as we do that. So, Sandra.
Okay, so estaba explicando cómo someter solicitudes de servicio. I'm going to share, okay? I'm going to share my screen real quick. Let's see.
While Sandra's doing that, any questions?
Esta es can you see my screen?
Yes.
Ok, esta es la web de la ciudad. Si vas a la página, este es como cuando entras a la web de la ciudad, así es como se va a mirar. El 311 para entrar a los servicios de solicitud, oprimes el 311 City Services. Cuando entras aquí, estas son las diferentes maneras que puedes comunicarte con la ciudad. Puedes llamarnos, textearnos, chatear. Aquí es donde puedes poner tu solicitud de servicio si le cliqueas aquí. Esta es la página, pones a Request for Service, este es para requerir una solicitud de servicio. En esta página te va a preguntar preguntas dependiendo para lo que vas a poner. Empiezas con la dirección. Un ejemplo, voy a poner la dirección de la estación, es este. Pones la dirección y si le oprimes a lo siguiente, te va a preguntar qué es lo que estás buscando o qué es lo que quieres someter. Por ejemplo, yo voy a poner un pothole, que es un hoyo en la calle. Entonces, ya de esto te va a preguntar más preguntas. Tú vas a decir que si es en Eli, si es en la calle. Tú vas a poner lo que estás viendo, si es en la calle, si es en el Eli. Vas a poner tu comentario aquí, lo que quieres decirle a la ciudad. Sigues con tu servicio. Si quieres poner tu información aquí, lo puedes hacer. Nomás, si no pones tu información como el email o el teléfono, no vas a recibir una confirmación. Y si sí lo pones, recibirás una confirmación y vas a recibir lo que el departamento está haciendo con tu solicitud. Eso es totalmente tu decisión. No tienes que hacerlo si quieres estar anónimo, entonces no pones nada. Esto es cómo poder someter tu solicitud. Go ahead, Sue.
Okay. Oh, thank you. So, I realize it's been long. Do you think the system will lead to more calls? I don't have enough data yet to see if it has. Our calls have been pretty steady. For over the last 11 years, we have entered over almost 400,000 service requests. We're at, almost 2 million phone calls, or just under that at this point. What we're hoping in with some of this is self-service, but for us, it's really important in 311 that we are available to everyone. And I'm saying this about the calls, whether someone wants to text, chat, call, use the web, use the app, we want to be available to them. The other things that we don't do in the center is we put no time limit on our call takers' calls, because everybody has different needs, and you may want to share with us. So that's just really important to make sure that customers have all channels. So I don't know if it will lead to more calls, but it's okay if we do. I absolutely think that things will be resolved quicker just because of the efficiency of the system that's going to the staff. And it's just a much smoother, efficient system, especially with the app. Our trash recycling lids replaceable? Yes. Do you want? We can put in a service request if you'd like. Oh, any questions?
Sue, Michael
Yes.
Schramm. I just
Hello.
want to thank you and the 311 Center as a longtime Evanstonian. Just what exemplary customer service your department performs. I've been a longtime customer service professional myself, and like you just mentioned, whatever it takes to listen to the customer's needs without hanging up on them within a minute or two. You listen to their concerns. So I just want to personally thank you from my end.
We appreciate that very much. The team is amazing. I'm so fortunate. I appreciate you acknowledging them, and we will pass that on. I think that's so important. And we love the feedback.
Yes, thank you very much for that.
One question in regards to the app. I'm on the Android system.
Yes.
When I type in a request, is there a way with maybe the new format that I could look at whatever calls I entered into the system in the past for my address?
So on the new app, we cannot. That is one downfall. But if you need anything, you can let me know and we'll work out a way to try to we have the old information available. So we can always run a report from a specific address to see, to make sure you have the information you need.
Yeah, I'm just inquisitive. That's all. I like to see how many inquiries I've performed over the years.
I love it. I love questions. So that's awesome. And I love that you're interested in that. Call me anytime. You're welcome to, I love talking about my 311 data. It's like I said, I could take up your entire meeting talking about 311, which I promise I will not. And I think, but thank you again for the kind words, and Sandra's going to share the QR codes, Sandra, in the chat.
So I was trying to figure out how to do it on the chat. I'm
Okay.
not sure.
Okay. We'll
Yeah,
say,
there
I present it, but that's the only thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there might be.
I think
Yeah,
you
I
can't
don't
do
think
pictures,
you
right?
can't do a picture on the in-call chat.
Okay.
But we can.
And the URL as an email.
Yeah, the URL of the
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's right on the city page. So we were trying to be very cool. That's all. Officer Basner, I see had.
I was just going to say thank you, Sue, for running 311, because I can tell you that all the officers in patrol are much appreciated dealing with minor nuisance calls that we would normally be dispatched to had it not been for 311. So we can handle more emergency related calls and police matters in that regard.
Well, thank you very much. And Sandra did share the doc. If there's no more questions, I won't take up any more of your time. I'll be on, Sandra will be on as well if there's any questions that come up. I will also put my contact information in the chat. If you have something offline that you would, like to know, or a suggestion, we're definitely very interested in that. And Sandra, if you could close that out too in Spanish so people can have that information.
So sí puse el QR code. I don't know how to say QR code in Spanish, pero puse el QR code en la link aquí en el chat. Si tienen preguntas, siempre pueden comunicarse con nosotros. Cualquier manera, hablamos español. Sue está available, para cualquier persona si tiene preguntas. La información de Sue está aquí en el lado también. Si necesitan comunicarse con ella, pueden llamar al 311 si usted habla español. Yo estoy allí, Sandra Hernández, y puedo ayudarles con cualquier cosa, cualquier pregunta.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sue and Sandra. Officer Basner, would you like to?
Yeah, I'll be short and sweet. I will share my screen. I did pull up some things while we were talking, or everyone was doing their thing, to just kind of show you the bulletins that I'm looking at, and I will show you exactly if anybody's interested. The department does post the crime bulletin every week, if not every month for sure. I know it's usually more than once a week, once every 2 weeks, something like that. It gets posted. So let me share my screen here, and then if we look at, can everybody see my screen? We good?
Yes.
Okay, very good, thank you. So if you go to the city's website and you go to government departments, police, and then the reports, so you'll go to the government and find departments, go down to the police section, and you go here, there is, where's it at? I'll go back. But you can also type it up in the search bar here, daily crime reports, and this will appear. So you'll have all the current crime reports as of up to date. I do have the most current one, but the one that we had since the 31st to now, or till the 2nd, was this report here. It is by police beat. So what you're going to look for the 9th Ward is basically anything beat 71 and beat 72. There is a small portion of beat 72 that is not part of the district or part of the ward, but you will find that those generally are what you're going to find in regards to ward crime. So as you see here, I believe it's is it on this one? Yeah. So you'll notice that there was only really one, and that's 635 Chicago for a retail theft is really the only thing that I have marked from the last one from this particular crime report. But the crime report between January 31st and February 2nd, which I don't believe is posted here, does have a theft from the building at 847 Chicago. And then when we start looking at the most updated one, which is going to be, it's not posted yet, February 5th through February 7th, we have one motor vehicle theft at 710 Asbury. They broke the window. It looked like they attempted to steal the car via the steering wheel. It was a silver Kia Sportage. That happened at 4 in the morning. Well, that's the time frame, is what they suspect on that. And then, yeah, that's, and then you have another theft at 635 Chicago. And that's pretty much it. There was another motor vehicle theft that occurred over the Sam's Club that's out of the ward, but it's in the vicinity, and that one was left when the victim had left it, was unattended in the vehicle loading items when the vehicle was stolen. So so if you're ever looking for crime reports, they might be a little delayed. We'll probably have the most current stuff at these meetings, and then eventually it'll be posted to here. What I'll show you citywide in regards to crime is this page here. This is what we do, what our crime analyst does with our crime stats citywide. They'll post where with this particular key and showing where the motor vehicle thefts happen. So you have the one I talked about over on the Sam's Club motor vehicle theft here. This in the ward, and then some looks like a criminal damage or a catalytic converter theft that happened on Washington that I failed to mention. And that happened back on the 2nd. And that was from a Volkswagen. So, but generally, our motor vehicle thefts are definitely up citywide in regards to that. And that they're usually looking at the Kias and the Hyundais because they can actively get into those to try to steal them with a USB. They can peel the steering column to attempt to make those type of thefts that are still going on for the older model vehicles of those makes. That's pretty much all I have in regards to crime stats. I looked at the other statistics citywide. Officers made about 17 different arrests for different offenses throughout the city, to include like domestic, violation of order of protection, traffic offenses, retail theft, possession of larger amounts of possession of cannabis, batteries, and assaults. So to kind of sum that up for you. And I'll always remind everybody of the ward, as I do at all my ward readings, is to establish a 9 o'clock routine for yourself, because that 9 o'clock routine being before I go to bed, I'm going to check all my doors, lock all my stuff, make sure I didn't keep any valuables in places where they don't belong, because that's usually how you will get burglarized or theft from most of the burglary vehicles. To vehicle that happens in Evanston is because of an unsecured car or an unsecured garage. So that's all.
Thank you. Thank you, Officer Basner. I had one quick question.
Sure.
Have we, because I know in the past, like 2 years, the thefts with the Kias has still been like, is that on the downturn, or and that and the catalytic converters? Is it, are you getting more or less, or?
It's still kind of constant. I wouldn't say that it's like on a rise, but it's still a present thing because they're clearly still trying to steal Kias in that manner and peeling the steering column. And those, again, the Kias and the Hyundai thing, I believe that was 2019 or older that they were able to do that with. Since those newer model vehicles they've since corrected it, so you can't no longer easily steal that car in that manner. But it's still a present thing. They're still trying it. A lot of times we find that it's juveniles or past offenders that know how to steal cars that are doing that kind of offense. And then as far as catalytic converters go, that has been an ever-present type of theft, unfortunately, in Evanston for quite some time. I think that's not just here, but I think it's everywhere, and that's because of the value of the metals within the catalytic converter. I do know that the state has passed laws that are to go after people who collect said scrap, but I don't know who is doing that enforcement at this point.
Okay.
I mean, it's a statewide issue.
I know last time we had a catalytic converter marking event.
Mhm.
That
is something the department is considering in my unit. We've done that in the past. I don't know when they will, but when they do, we will announce it. I have had instances in which I've taken a report in which there was an attempt theft on a catalytic converter. The converter was removed from the vehicle, but the offender did not take it because it was in fact painted. That is the only instance I've heard of it, but I think there are better prevention measures that you can take, such as having a cage, catalytic converter cage put on your vehicle, because that's more work for the bad guy to do, for him to try, he or she to try to steal the converter. They have to cut through extra steel to get to it, thus causing a time delay and making a lot of noise, which would incur a police response, is probably the better route.
Okay.
That's just my professional opinion.
Great. I'll probably ping you offline and get that information just so people know about that. Brian, you have your hand up.
Yes, I do. I just want to take a moment to thank Officer Bassner and all the personnel at EPD for their vigilance. I've been on this block since 1988, and I've seen a lot of crazy stuff, and I'm grateful to have you guys around and keeping track of the crazy stuff going down. And I don't want to forget to say thank you too for every single time I call 311. It is a quick and easy, helpful situation. Thank you all for your professional approach to managing issues around the community. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome, Brian.
Thank you so much. I see there's a question. I don't want to take away from Officer Bassner. There's a question in the chat whenever I can address that.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm done. If nobody has any questions for me, I'll put my info in the chat.
And then Mr. Hirsch asked about extending the hours. So I love that question. When we first started, we were open until 11 o'clock at night. And no one called us, but that was okay. So we have worked really hard to come up with some hours that, not come up with, but to be available. So we open at 7 a.m. and we close at 6 p.m. We wanted to be available before what people would say normal work hours. I don't know if there were really such a thing anymore, but and we are open Monday through Friday. We used to be open 7 days. We went down to 6 days. We're down to 5 days. On Saturdays, we would average about 100 calls, which is not a lot of calls for 311 in an average day. In the call center world, there is something called cost per call. So keeping your tax dollars down was really important to us, or keeping the costs down to run 311. So 7 to 6 is what we're open now. But what we do a lot is stay open or open early. So you can ask Sandra, because I rely on her a lot. So any snowstorm, we open early as needed, and we stay as late as needed on the other end. Saturdays, if there's events, we'll open. So we have this great phone system that I basically, from the back end, almost anywhere, I can extend the hours for chat, text, and the telephone. So that's how we get around with that. But the cost is just not effective at this point to extend our hours, or especially our days. So I know, Sandra, if you want to add that in Spanish,
La pregunta era de si el 311 iba a hacer las horas más largas o abrir más días, porque nuestras horas son de 7 a.m. a 6 p.m. lunes a viernes. No abremos los fines de semana tampoco, pero lo que sí hacemos, y la razón es porque no tenemos suficientes llamadas para abrir los fines de semana o extender nuestras horas. Si nosotros abríamos antes los 7 días, después bajamos a 6 días y ahora ya estamos con lunes a viernes los 5 días. Y es por la razón que no teníamos suficientes llamadas. Pero ocasiones como si hay una tormenta o un evento, nosotros sí abremos los sábados o domingos o abremos más tempranos antes de las 7 o nos quedamos abiertos después de las 6, dependiendo de si hay una ocasión o un evento o cualquier cosa que se necesita quedarse abierto.
thank you. And we do open for thunderstorms and windstorms as well. So we're not just partial to snow. So
Great. Thank you. If no one else has any questions for Officer Basner or Sue and Sandra, I have some just like general city government updates for you all. I will try to pull up some of the, I will be sharing some links in the chat for you all. Kind of directly related to our discussion here. Recently this week, I'm the newest member of the Reimagining Public Safety Committee. We had our first meeting in quite some time, and we received a full report from LEAP, which is the, let me get the acronym right here, Law Enforcement Action Partnership. It's an organization led by a lot of former law enforcement, and they have been looking at our 911 call data and seeing how a community responder model would work with our community. What we've learned is that, based on, the data that they found, that upwards of 30% of our 911 calls could be handled by a community responder. Very interesting report. And we had budgeted $400,000 at the end of the year to start a pilot program. And we also discussed the proposal to start that program. The hope is that it will be run through the Parks and Rec department. The Parks and Rec staff already have youth and young adult and outreach workers that are doing some of these calls that are kind of similar to what a community responder would be tasked to do. And so we will be discussing that at council soon. And we're hoping that, all things said, we would be getting a program in place here in Evanston around June. So that's report's really interesting. A lot of good data about what calls come through, and even like Officer Basner said, there's a lot of things that aren't necessarily the best use of our officers' time. I think the combination of the community responders and our law enforcement personnel would, I think that'd be a great combination, make everyone safer in the community. So that was, that's a good thing coming down the line. There's also, I know I'd shared some information about this previously, but our new comprehensive plan, Envision Evanston 2045, we are starting the discussion about what we want our city to look like. The comprehensive plan is a big part of that. We'll be doing an in-depth analyzation of our code and building codes and zoning. There's a kickoff meeting last night. I will probably be, there will be multiple meetings. We will be, because of OMA, there could only be 3 council members at each of these meetings. So I will probably try to attend the next one, but I will be sharing that because we really want as much community engagement around this as possible going forward. Another thing that is, I think, just recently in the news, in our human services meeting, we discussed leaf blower enforcement. And, you know, I had some concerns when we implemented the ban based on not seeing very many small businesses take advantage of our loan and grant program, our grant program for the leaf blower grants. I had tried to do some outreach to the mainly Latino and Hispanic community to get kind of smaller operators to receive grants, and found that our process was either too restrictive or for other reasons people did not qualify. We found that, you know, there's been some harassment of the workers, and I feel like we should have a moratorium potentially in the beginning of the spring while we work out a better way to help these folks convert to electric equipment. So that's something we'll be discussing further on. I don't know who.
It's Tina Payton.
Hi. Hello, Ms. Payton. How are you doing?
Okay, I had a question about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of companies that are doing the lawns.
Yes.
Some of them are not even servicing Evanston because of the ban.
Yes.
Battery, electric, if you have to run a cord, it's not feasible, and a battery only lasts so long.
Yep.
Especially if you're doing a lot of lawns. So that should be in consideration. But I wanted to know if someone like myself is eligible for if I do my business, I have rental properties, and if we do our own grass,
yeah,
am I eligible to apply for that?
I would think probably we'd have to look. And this is one of the things that I think we need to look at with our sustainability grants. I think if you're running a business and you in Evanston and you want to convert to green technology, I think the sustainability grant is the most non-restrictive. I think I can put that in the chat, but I think if that's something you would want. Yeah, I think you'd qualify probably.
Okay, I was just wondering because it wasn't offered, it was just for companies, but I know that a lot of landscapers have decided not to work with Evanston because of the ban. I could name a few, and then because it's just not conducive to what they're trying to do. So I have a gas blower myself. I used a landscaping company, but I think we're going to go back to doing our own grass. And therefore I want to be in compliance because I don't need another ticket from the city. So
yeah, and I think, and I have to find that, and this is the other, and what we found is a lot of the operators didn't know that the ban was going into effect. And it's also just been hard for them to navigate the system. But I am sure I have your email, Ms. Payton, but I will send you the link to the sustainability grant.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Other things, big things. So, one of the, let me get the, so as of today, the city has not finalized our lease agreement to move downtown. We had voted to temporarily, or at least for the short term, move operations from the Civic Center to 909 Davis. We will be having some pretty extensive community engagement around what our plan is for the Civic Center, police and fire headquarters. One of the things that that's a challenge has just been the general state of the Civic Center. We have a sustainability or feasibility study here. I'll put in the chat that we want a lot of engagement around. We basically have to decide whether or not to rehab the Civic Center, move back there, expand it to include police and fire, potentially move downtown. There's a couple other sites that are feasible for combined Civic Center, police and fire headquarters. This is something that we will be discussing over the next year. Our hope is to have a plan going forward by the end of next year so that we can start planning. All estimates would be that it would probably take at least 5 years to have a new home for any of these, for any of us. I know Officer Basner can probably, Carlos, can you hear me okay now? Do I have to get closer? So
We can hear you fine.
okay. We had a question in the chat. So I'm sure Officer Basner can share that, there are challenges around police and fire headquarters, Sue as well. We've taken extensive tours of all the facilities, and we arrived at the decision to move out. Me personally, it's been frustrating that the Civic Center has not been taken care of. I think there are, but at this point we have to kind of tear the Band-Aid off and go forward. So I have not personally made my mind up what I think is the best option. So we will be, hopefully our first phase, we want to have some meetings at the Civic Center to explain kind of the issues and challenges with that building, just so that everyone is fully aware of what's going on there. What I can share is that, we have a building that has a leaky roof. It was very shocking to see that when it rains, we have water seeping through the walls on the 4th floor. There was a city council meeting, I remember, when it was raining so hard and we had water coming in through the ceiling on the outside of the Aldermanic Library. There are ADA issues, and I think kind of the tipping point for me, the building is valued at $10 million. Anything, if we spend more than $5 million, we have to start addressing ADA and building code things to modernize, and that would be way more money than I think we should be spending right now. So it's time to, and we have almost consensus to move downtown for the time being and go forward from there. So I see Brian has a question.
Well, I've got a question and a couple statements too. I mean, I'm not sure when you came to Evanston, Juan, but I was on the original committee in 2007 that engaged the entire community in a referendum vote, and 83% were in favor of staying in the Civic Center and making an honest to goodness plan to reimagine and renovate the building. That didn't happen. Currently, the same people who allowed the building to get run down and defer the maintenance to the condition that is in currently are the same people who are doing the cheerleading to move downtown. And the 15-year lease that they're proposing by the company that was hired behind closed doors without any council vote, JLL, Jones Lang LaSalle, which is a national commercial real estate company, has found a 15-year lease that will end up costing $10,000 more than the building could have been purchased for at 909 Davis Street 2 years ago. And it sounds like to me that somebody is doing their cousin or uncle a favor or something. And this has become I'm very disturbed by the way this went down in council. It was a one and done council meeting with a special order of business without any community engagement. And then they're going to say, let's do this 15-year lease or move out and then decide what we're going to do. Well, we don't need to move out of there. It's ridiculous. And the money you're going to spend renting over the course of this lease would pay for the renovation itself. And they're quoting AECOM was disingenuous in the values that they're showing. $560 per square foot is astronomical. When you look at something like recently completed in downtown Chicago, the old Chicago Post Office, which is a 2,500,000 square foot building, it was $360 per square foot. And that I'm talking about marble and brass and hardwood and beautiful finishes. So, and they kept mentioning in the AECOM report that the stakeholders were the staff and the city council. No, the stakeholders are me. I'm a taxpayer, and I'm shocked that this is even a conversation we're having now. When this company JLL was hired behind closed doors and likely in violation of the Open Meetings Act, the Attorney General is reviewing all of this currently, and there will be an investigation about all of this, because if JLL is supposed to be representing the best interests of the community, that is the residents and the taxpayers, and they're producing a lease that's going to cost more to renovate the property and take longer than building 3 buildings, it's absurd. And it's furthermore, when you're renovating a building like a hospital, you don't throw everybody out. You do it in phases and you do it in sections at a time. This is easily accomplished. I was on the tour with your other alders in December, and Laura Biggs, who is the greatest cheerleader of this, she spent 2 hours displaying all the foibles of the building and none of the positive attributes. So this is very disturbing, and I hope this can slow down and take a deep breath. We've discovered recently that there are quality office spaces in Evanston that will give a 3 to 5 year lease. And for them to say that that's not possible, for Paul Zamelzek to come out publicly and say that's not possible, it's just plainly false. So we need to get the community involved in this in a little bit better. We're all stakeholders. This is going to cost more than $100 million and will surely be the biggest public works project in the history of Evanston, when in fact the priority should be the police and fire headquarters and get that done first.
So there are like 6 options in the feasibility study. I sent it out in the newsletter. I want everyone to see what we're doing. Brian, I'm glad you went on the tour of the building. I want other people to see what the building's like. And
good.
Really, it is the phased remodeling is not feasible. And the thing is,
that's because Laura Biggs is telling you that. That's false too.
So Brian, I'm really uncomfortable when people attack city staff. And Laura is giving us the information, and we can believe her or not. And I personally believe her after seeing the building and working there. So, you know, it was near unanimous that we need to get out of there. What I can say is, like, in 2007, folks should have spent the money, but we're dealing with what's been done. And, you know, I can't fix or go back in time and do that, but we will have a meeting soon. This is something a bunch of us have really wanted people to see and be upfront about. There will be information about the lease and everything on the webpage. There's nothing to hide. So I'll be sharing that as soon as all that is finalized and out. So yeah, and as far as real estate stuff, some of that has to be in closed meetings. That's just the way it is.
This
And it was
didn't
not
go to finance. This is not in the budget. It didn't go to finance. It didn't go to the people.
So we can disagree about this.
Well,
but and so, but we will have more engagement about what to do, because it will probably be one of our biggest projects ever. And we have a lot of moving parts. Like, I wish we had a ready space for police and fire right away, but everyone can read the report and chime in, because I have not decided what I think is the best so far. So okay, we have a question. Oh, so Little Beans. So the city also purchased Little Beans recently. This was something that came up starting, I think, in November. Staff became aware that it was available. Parks and Rec staff presented a really great business plan to basically take over operation of the building, and also move some of our other Parks and Rec programs there. We are pressed for space for gymnastics. It was an opportunist move to buy the building. We also have the Ecology Center that will be under construction this summer. So there is programming that did not have a home. So we will be moving that stuff there. But the surprising thing, you know, we looked at all the finances from Little Beans operation, and even though during the pandemic, they still broke even at the worst months. Their major issues that they had were maintenance and also HR. They're a very small shop. They had problems hiring, and we have Parks and Rec staff ready to jump in there, and it's a exciting opportunity. I think people are excited about it, especially people with little kids. So see, Michael had his hand up.
I just wanted to say that former mayor, is it Lytle? He had a great editorial basically on the Civic Center rebuild and refurbishing. So I just encourage citizens to look at that article. I think it was Evanston Roundtable, and that was just posted the last day or so.
And that's something that's still on the table, either moving all the operations there or just they're a bunch of moving parts. So it's not just the Civic Center, it's police and fire. Do we want police and fire and the Civic Center to be in the same place? There are definitely efficiencies around doing that. There are also some challenges around whether or not, like, you want a dispatch from, you know, police and fire in a neighborhood, different things, you know, proximity to, you know, major throughways and things like that. But definitely want everyone to chime in. There'll be, I'm sure, many, many meetings about this. So I think Ms. Payton again.
Yes, hi. So I'm confused because the meeting last night and envisioning 2045 is to say that you want to hear from the residents and what the future is going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how you all came to 2045 when we can't even figure out what's going to happen tomorrow. And to me, we should have been talking about the Civic Center before this rush decision to spend all this money at 909 Davis. And also Little Beans. I mean, who's deciding these things? So do you really want to hear from the residents, or is this just a facade yesterday that you pretending you want to hear from the residents? Because a lot of residents don't even know that you all are planning on this 909 Davis. I agree with Brian. I was talking about the Civic Center, and I was there when they decided to they had a long process about whether to keep the Civic Center or not. And they said the roof was the biggest thing. So maybe you need to talk to the contractor of the roof, because that roof was $10 million. And they said if they're going to spend $10 million to fix the roof at the Civic Center, they would keep it. Well, maybe you all need a code violation, because you run around here and give me a code violation all the time about leaky roofs or furnaces that don't work, because that was another big ticket item. That Laura Biggs mentioned was the boiler needed repair. And I said at another meeting that the boiler, you should follow your own CARP discussion and make the boiler electric heat, because that's what you all want to talk about, eliminating gas.
Yeah.
So these things need to be talked about, not after you all decide to do something. So if 2045 envision is really what you're saying, then it should be all aspects of the city and not just a few items. Thank you so much.
So as far as the boiler, that's part of the issue with the building. If we want to follow our CARP guidelines, the electric service to the building has to be completely redone, and we cannot just rip and replace a boiler. So that's part of the.
I understand that, Alderman. I'm just saying that this isn't a surprise. These things aren't surprises. But I'm saying, as a landlord, you all sit here and ding me, and I probably get a code violation after what I say tonight, because this happens all the time. I'm not saying you would give it to me. I'm just saying that this is frequent, that this happens. But you all know a roof doesn't just start leaking overnight. Windows, I think caulking the windows was a big thing. That this doesn't happen overnight, or the boiler doesn't happen overnight. So that should have been budgeted a long time ago, and not spending what the price of a 15-year lease at $2.5 million and then $5.9 million to retrofit the offices. Is you could spend that money fixing the building, the city hall, and put the police and fire station in the whole building, the city hall and the police and fire. Just a comment from the citizen envision 2024 and 2025.
And over 15 years, we'll spend $7 million on parking, and lost taxes will be 11 million. The total goes to over 56 million. That's just on a napkin here. So there's a lot to unpack here.
Also, Alderman, one more statement about that. I did mention at another meeting that where are we going to park as citizens trying to get to the 909 Davis building, and then they talked about a few spaces underground, which is not feasible. And then also remember the disabled and the handicapped that cannot walk from that far distance from the parking garage. I think you all have failed that. I've been an advocate, and I am a disabled person, and I do have a handicap placard, and this place is kind of far to park. And how will you handle that without us paying to go to city services at 909?
There are 3,200 spaces within a 4-minute walk, there are 1,600 in a 2-minute walk. So it's,
Yeah, but they're
Well,
paid. You
but
have
they
to
will-
pay.
so here's the thing. They're owned by the city. Like, we have not discussed the parking situation, but
That's a problem, though.
but here's,
Alderman.
let me, Ms. Payton. I do not want anyone to pay for parking there. It should be validated. And that's something that we can easily do. And that's something that I will very much fight for. I've had a couple of people say their concerns, but yeah, and there are 223. A lot of them are further walk than the actual parking garage. So it is, I think there's sufficient parking, but yeah, I will very strongly advocate for it to be validated and free. And I think my colleagues are in the same boat. But yep. So like, again, I've been asking staff to have all this information on the website so everyone can see what we're doing. But yeah. So any other hands?
Please do not forget the disabled and handicapped.
And that's actually part of the major problem with the Civic Center right now. It is not a welcoming, friendly place for folks who have disabilities. So that's also
That's
part
why
of
we
it.
need to think creatively, Juan. That's exactly why we need to reimagine this for the entire community. It's a beautiful campus, and it's a beautiful place to house the seat of our government.
So
That's some developers' Juan song.
weird. So the one other thing I've shared with a couple people over email is the one thing I'm 100% not changing my mind about is Ingram Park. That stays city park, does not go anywhere in my estimation. So but like I said, we have the ACOM study. Please read it, form your own opinions. And at that, do we have any more questions?
I have a question not related to any of this. Is Michael Schramm related to Kari Schramm? I guess he
No,
didn't hear
he's
me.
not. No,
Oh.
he's not.
She's an old Evanston family from way back. I'm just curious. Thank you.
I'm an old Evanston family from 55.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for coming. And I think we're 13 minutes early. So I'll give you back 13 minutes of your evening. And I will stick around if anybody else has any other questions they don't want recorded. So, all right.
Thanks, Juan.
Thank you. Good
Thank
night.
you,
Thank
everyone.
you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good
Thank you.
night. Night.
No problem, Brian.
Thank you, Alderman.
Thank you, Ms. Payton.